This is the AD20.5 in CPM 3V. Here it is next to the full-size AD20, and here is it next to the AD20 compared in thickness. It's about a PM2 thickness. Here's the AD20, AD20 Slim, and the AD20.5. I do really have a problem, I want to say. Here is it next to the Sebenza 21, great knife by the way. Cutting edge to cutting edge. The Sebenza is a little bit longer, but in terms of handle size, the AD20.5 is more like a full-size knife in terms of its handle. Here's it next to the PM2 and Para 3. The Para 3 is a very good comparison knife, same cutting edge length and about the same handle size, even though the AD20.5 just handles a little bit better and a little bit fuller. Here is the plasticky clamshell packaging that I kind of like for some reason. And here is the clip for the lefties. You are not being forgotten. Let's start with cutting some wood. Since we are next to a river, this wood is a little bit softer. But yeah, that's okay. The knife cuts pretty well. There's a boat coming. I know you want to see it. You want to see the boat? Okay, let's look at the boat. What a beautiful summer day, by the way. I will miss those. This summer has passed way too quickly. And back to cutting wood. Let's talk about the behind the edge thickness, which is 0.55 millimeters, which is about 21 thousandths. Not the best, but actually the knife cuts great. I can't really complain about its cutting performance since it does really well. Would it be great if the knife was a little bit thinner? Yeah, for sure. Would it be great if it was a hollow grind and not a full flat? Yeah, sure. It's actually not a full flat, it's a Savo ground blade, and yeah, I guess a full flat would make it even greater, but that's what it is. It has a lot of strength and a lot of toughness, despite being relatively on the thinner side in terms of blade thickness. Let's cut some rope that I found on the beach here. You don't even need to bring stuff to cut, you can actually find everything, since there is so much trash in our rivers. Easy peasy! As you can see, there's quite a little bit of sand in the action now. You can also hear it a little bit. The knife runs on bearings, by the way. And yeah, we gotta clean that sand, and what better way to make your knife cleaner than in the river that is slightly dirty. But yeah, I haven't ever disassembled this knife since I have it. I have it for a couple of months now. Have been using it very regularly the last couple months. And I only cleaned it with water, and that seemed to do just fine. And also hit a rock right about there, I think. I hit that rock, and yeah, CPM 3V is known for its toughness, and as you can see, it's only a tiny little microchip, barely noticeable. So I had to use a special lens to actually show you this chip in the blade. It's not a huge damage, it's a minor damage. On a knife that was very sharp before that, that's not too bad. Speaking of toughness, in this footage I do some prying and lifting, and yeah. Why do I pry apart this dead tree? For no other reason than testing the knife's toughness, and yeah, that's a good test. I also used the tip as a screwdriver in a couple of occasions when I forgot my multi-tool, and yeah, the knife did just fine. The tip held up very well. This knife is very strong. I haven't had any concerns in terms of its toughness. And yeah, let's talk about corrosion resistance. CPM 3B is not known to be a very corrosion resistant steel, although I have never had any issues with 3B and rusting. And I actually clipped this to my swimming trunks and went swimming for about half an hour. Was also happy that I didn't lose it in the river. And as you can see, we developed a little bit of patina, but actually no rust. And most of the patina is also not that noticeable. Just under my magnification lens we can actually see it. And yeah, this is the oxidation process of the iron atoms. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. No concerns in terms of corrosion resistance though. Yeah, this knife has never rusted in me so far, and I carried it for pretty much the entire summer and went swimming with it and never put any oil on it. So yeah, I think it actually works well for non-stainless steel. It also cuts food pretty well for such a small blade. This is obviously not the task that it was designed to do. But I also try to do bigger tasks that a small knife like this has more difficulties. And yeah, it actually tackles also those tasks pretty well. The tip on the shark's foot blade here, which is a sheep's foot blade obviously, helps quite a bit. Did a lot of EDC tasks since I have it. I don't film everything that I cut with my knives, it's just not doable. And also, it's very weird to have a camera pointed at you while you're at work. But yeah, I did do a lot of cutting tasks, and the tip just performs really well. I do like it quite a bit. In a blade shape like this, it's mainly about the tip work, right? You get into stuff very precisely, and you can finish cuts very precisely, and I do like that. It is a good blade shape. I was kind of on the fence about whether I should pick the clip point or the sheepsfoot blade, and I do like the sheepsfoot blade quite a bit since I've used it. And yeah, it's a good blade shape. Let's actually resharpen this. I'm not really resharpening it, it's more like a field sharpening. This still has the factory edge on there, and the only thing that I have done with it so far is touching it up with leather and ceramic. And yeah, here you can see it's no longer shaving sharp. And also the people on the beach think that I'm a complete weirdo now, but that's okay. I proceed to sharpen my knife. The knife seems to resharpen really well. The edge rolls to one side or the other relatively quickly. That could be a concern in terms of its overall edge retention, but yeah, it just resharpens really well and it touches up really well. Getting that razor sharp edge back is really not a lot of effort on this knife. With which I then proceeded to do a little bit of an edge retention test. The edge is very sharp right now, and I did cut this polyester rope with it. Polyester rope, in comparison to like natural ropes, dulls blades down, in my experience at least, at about 45% quicker than most of the, jute and sisal ropes. It depends on the rope though. There are so many different ropes out there. It's very difficult to say. But yeah, this is a very abrasive stuff for sure. And in total, it cut like about 260 cuts. With these edge retention tests, it's difficult to say when the knife is no longer doing what it should be doing. It was definitely still sharp. I just stopped because it could no longer reliable slice print paper. And what kind of surprised me, it lost its hair popping sharp edge pretty late into what I was doing. So this is at about 200 cuts, as you can see, still pretty clean. There is of course one little spot where it's not as hair popping sharp anymore, but the majority of the edge is still pretty good. And even though I stopped the test at 260, this didn't mean that the knife was dull. It was just no longer reliably slicing paper. It could have kept doing what it was doing for quite a while longer. So yeah, pretty good results. I'm happy with that. And yeah, here is the print paper. As you can see, it still cuts pretty good. It's just not that reliable anymore in terms of finishing the cuts. But yeah, that's okay. That's still, like I said, far away from being a dull edge. So the CPM 3B did really well, sharpened up well, held an edge long, was also very tough. Yeah, I cannot say anything bad about it. Corrosion resistance was also surprisingly good. Of course it will patina if you neglect it like I do, but that's okay to me. And yeah, pretty good stuff. Now, if there's one thing that I do not like as much on this knife, despite the price obviously, it is actually the coil spring that's in the back here. Now, the coil spring is what makes this locking system so great, because it's basically a similar concept to like an axis lock, but it skips those weak omega springs and puts in a really nice, strong and long-lasting spring in the back here. And the knife is really fidgety, like I said. It can be deployed in a number of options, and it's very smooth. But I feel like the coil spring in the back here is just a little bit too easy to disengage. It should be a lot more, I don't know, it should be stronger in the spring tension, like it is on the AD20 full size, or American made models I should say. These do not have as strong of a spring in the back here, and I don't like that as much. I'll give it that the knife came perfect out of box. It was super smooth, drop shotty, perfectly broken in. It also runs on bearings, which kind of helps with that, but yeah, I don't like that as much. I do like to break in my knives myself, and I would like to see a lot more spring tension on that coil spring, so it breaks in nicer over time and kind of becomes smoother as you use it. So yeah, that's my only gripe about this. So in conclusion, I like the knife quite a bit. I was hesitating to buy this because I thought it was kind of overpriced. I still think it is a little bit highly priced. I'm glad that I could buy it on sale, which is also why I got this combination of color and steel. Although I always wanted to have the 3V version of this. But yeah, it is a very good knife. It's a small knife. It handles more like a larger knife. It's very tough, very robust. It has a super fidgety locking system that's very strong at the same time. Most fidgety knives are not very strong, and most strong knives are not very fidgety. That's usually the case. But this one kind of is both. And that's a cool thing. So that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. It took me a couple months longer than I expected it to make. And yeah, I kind of completely failed the time schedule that I had in mind for this summer because I was constantly working. And yeah, I hope you understand. I will keep doing videos, probably as unregularly as I'm doing them right now. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.